Imagine you're this ruthless, biomechanically enhanced military commander, right? Like, you are a 7-foot-tall conqueror on this relentless quest for ultimate mystical power. You slaughter entire armies, you serve this golden king, and your very name just inspires terror across the known world.
Right, a total nightmare on the battlefield.
Exactly. But then your search for power leads you to climb through this dimensional portal. And the physical reality of your world just completely shatters around you, and you find yourself standing in an office, literally meeting the author who is typing your story on a keyboard.
Oh man, it completely shatters that boundary between fiction and reality.
Yeah.
Yeah. It forces us to really question the nature of existence itself. Like the architect of your life isn't some distant deity in the clouds.
Right.
It's a guy. Just a guy sitting at a desk, tapping away at a keyboard, and he's actually bound by the very story he's trying to write.
It's so wild. Welcome to the deep dive, everyone. Today, we're immersing you in this sprawling sci-fi and fantasy epic document. It's titled Tenhut, and our mission for you today is to trace the incredible journey of a character named Tenhut.
Yeah, Tenhut's arc is it's something else.
It really is. We're going to track his search for the ultimate awareness of this quantum force called Magic. We'll follow his expedition into a reality-bending nightmare realm known as Senhel, and dissect his mind-bending encounter with a being known simply as the Novelist.
And the stakes here, they go far beyond your standard fantasy battle narrative. I mean, sure, the document opens with this high-octane military conquest, but it systematically deconstructs its own genre as it goes.
Totally.
It turns into this profound exploration of consciousness, the mechanics of free will, and really that deep symbiotic connection between a creator and their creation. We are looking at what physically and psychologically happens when a character becomes self-aware enough to look their creator right in the eye.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because to understand how we even get to that confrontation, you really have to understand Tenhut himself. The visual design of this guy is striking.
Oh, absolutely terrifying.
Right. He's the Lord Commander of the Black Guard. He serves Akhenaten, who is the pharaoh of the Egyptian Empire. Picture this 7-foot-tall, cyborg-like warrior. He wears this elongated, titanium black, wolf-like mask.
Yeah, the mask is such a cool detail.
There's this artificial respiration system integrated into his body that constantly hisses and crackles as he breathes. Plus, he has these retractable eyelids that snap open to reveal these glowing neon green eyes.
I mean, he is designed to be the absolute embodiment of military dread. Right down to his staff,
Yeah.
The one he uses to literally vaporize his enemies.
Yes, just turns them to dust.
But the narrative engine of this entire document is the internal contradiction within Tenhut. He looks and acts like a machine of war. He's heavily augmented by what the text calls blackguard sciences. Yet, underneath all that terrifying exterior, he possesses like the deepest spiritual intuition of anyone in his universe. He's a master practitioner of what they call magic. But we really need to redefine what that word means in the context of this world.
Yeah, if you are picturing a standard fantasy wizard, waving a wooden wand and muttering incantations right now, you gotta throw that image out. In this universe, magic is a highly advanced, sentient quantum force.
Right, it's not a spell.
No, they actually measure it mathematically. The Egyptians use a metric called EPPM, which stands for energetic power per microunit.
Which is such a brilliant shift. Applying a scientific framework to a metaphysical force changes the whole dynamic of the world.
It really does.
The users of magic aren't casting spells.
Yeah.
They are observing and actively redirecting the atomic function of reality. They are manipulating the actual building blocks of matter.
Which totally explains how a staff can vaporize a person. It's not a fireball. It's targeted atomic destabilization. To me, this sounds exactly like someone accessing the source code of a computer program. It really makes me think of the Matrix. Like Neo realizing the physical world is an illusion and suddenly learning how to read and manipulate that cascading green code that runs the simulation.
The Matrix comparison works on a surface level for sure. But what's fascinating here is that Tenhut is actually attempting something much more dangerous than just reading the code.
Oh.
Yeah. The Pharaoh and the other military generals, they're perfectly content to use this atomic manipulation just to win wars and consolidate their political power. They're basically just using the software.
Right, using the apps.
Exactly. Tenhut, however, is trying to find the keyboard. Because he understands magic as this measurable quantum fabric, He deduces that it must have a point of origin. He actually senses an author or a progenitor behind the energy.
Wow.
And he formulates this theory that if you focus your consciousness deeply enough, you can physically trace this quantum fabric back to the specific entity that wove it.
And he pursues this ultimate philosophical truth with the exact same ruthless, machine-like efficiency that he uses to massacre rebellious armies. I mean, he is fully autonomic. He's indoctrinated by the Egyptian military machine. He essentially acts like a predictable program of violence.
And that paradox was what makes his journey possible. He's trapped in this rigid, logical, militaristic mindset, yet he's the only being who realizes that the chaotic violence of their world masks a higher order.
He sees the pattern.
Yes. He wants the ultimate truth of his existence way more than he wants any political victory for his pharaoh. And because he's treating this search for the author as a problem of quantum physics and pure intention, he is mathematically forced to lead the Egyptian army to the one place on the planet where the code of reality is completely broken.
A place called Senhel.
Exactly.
And just the mechanics of Senhel are so fascinating. It is this massive peninsular landmass covered in total impenetrable darkness. The text notes it was created hundreds of years ago by a catastrophic mistake from an immortal wizard named Jubo.
Right. You really messed up there.
Big time. The sun simply does not penetrate the airspace. But it's not just dark. It's a region completely devoid of standard physical laws.
The atomic structure that magic usually manipulates, it just doesn't exist there. Instead, Senhel operates under what the inhabitants call a dream law.
A dream law?
Yeah. Because standard physics have collapsed, reality in this dark land folds and manifests based entirely on the perceptions, intentions, and fears of the observer. One of the characters explicitly states that the very landscape blooms around you and knows your purpose.
Let's think about how your own brain works when you're dreaming. If you're walking down a hallway in a nightmare and you suddenly expect a monster to be behind a door, your brain instantly generates the monster.
Exactly. It fills in the blank with your fear.
Right. Senhel does that. But in waking life, if you march an army into it expecting to fight ancient horrors, the darkness literally coalesces into those horrors.
It physically builds the architecture of your subconscious.
Yeah.
Which brings us to the really jarring discovery Tenhut makes. Because he isn't entering Senhel looking for monsters or conquest, he's looking for the structural truth of the universe. The landscape doesn't manifest a fantasy dungeon, it manifests Dark City.
Okay, so imagine you're this cyborg warrior from a sword and sorcery empire, right? You march through a wall of magical darkness, only to find yourself standing in an abandoned modern metropolis.
It's completely jarring.
There are towering skyscrapers made of glass and steel, flickering neon signs, and metallic vehicles with four wheels just sitting idle in the alleyways. It's a total anachronism, just completely out of place in their world.
It's an anomaly within an anomaly.
Yeah.
And the moment they enter Dark City, Tenhut's magic tracker, which is this black sun icon integrated into his staff, it just starts oscillating wildly.
It goes crazy.
Yeah, the quantum energy is off the charts. He intuitively senses that the absolute core of this mystery, the origin point he's been hunting for, is located inside a massive skyscraper in the center of the city, a place called the Nexus Tower.
Wait, let me challenge the mechanics of this for a second.
Sure.
If Senhel is essentially a giant lucid dream where your deepest thoughts become physical reality, doesn't that mean Dark City is just a projection? Isn't Tenhut just navigating a maze built by his own subconscious?
That's a valid question.
Like, if the landscape blooms based on your purpose, it feels like he's walking through a funhouse mirror where every single reflection is just a fragmented piece of his own mind. How does a subconscious projection lead him to an objective, universal truth?
Well, that is the exact fear his fellow Egyptian commanders have. They are terrified. It's a trap designed by their own minds to destroy them. But Senhel isn't merely a mirror reflecting the ego.
Okay.
It acts as a functional bridge between the physical world and the macro awareness of the entire universe.
Yeah.
Tenhut realizes something crucial here. Logical thought alone cannot solve the maze of Senhel.
Because thought is chaotic.
Exactly. Thought changes second by second, and if you rely on thought, the landscape will constantly shift and trap you. Navigating the dream law requires pure, unwavering intention.
Ah, I see. So because his intention to find the author is absolute and unshakable, he isn't just projecting a fantasy. His sheer will is forcing the raw quantum material of Senhel to construct a literal physical pathway to the creator.
He's basically hacking the dream law.
Hacking it with willpower, that is wild.
Precisely. He bypasses all the subconscious traps because his purpose is singular.
Yeah.
His intention is constructing a bridge to the outside of his reality, and that bridge takes a very literal, physical form once he enters the Nexus Tower.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because this is where the story shifts from a fantasy expedition into a full-blown dimensional breakdown. Tenhut leaves his generals and his army behind on the ground floor.
Yep, he goes it alone.
He finds a ventilation duct in the Nexus Tower and just starts climbing.
He's crawling through these cramped metallic vents, fully expecting the logical architecture of a skyscraper. But as he climbs, the physical space begins to distort.
It warps.
Yeah. He looks through a metal grate, expecting to see another floor of the office building. Instead, he sees an impossibly large room with an infinite drop. The text specifically notes that he's no longer just climbing a building.
Right.
He is moving through actual spatial dimensions.
He's climbing outside the boundaries of his own universe, so he finally reaches the end of the duct. He opens a brass knob on a final door, steps out, and what does he find? It's not some glowing orb of energy. It's not a cosmic dragon.
Nope.
He steps into a room and finds a being dressed in formal black attire, sitting at a desk, typing on a keyboard surrounded by holographic icons.
The visual contrast is almost absurd, but it is incredibly powerful. You have Tenhut, this terrifying, heavily armed, 7-foot-tall cyborg with a staff that vaporizes matter, standing in an office, staring at a guy in a suit.
And the environment itself starts communicating the reality of the situation. The air in the room turns into holographic text.
And the air itself.
It's described as a railway of icons forming words that carry a melody. Tenhut looks at the air and realizes he's standing inside something called Document 8. He is literally reading the text that is describing his own actions as those actions are happening in real time.
It's so meta.
And the being at the desk introduces himself as the Novelist, the Grandmaster of Dark City.
It is the ultimate collision of realities. Tenhut naturally demands to know why he was summoned into this place. But the Novelist reveals a profound truth about the mechanics of this universe. He didn't summon Tenhut.
Wait, really?
Yeah, he tells him, "I did not ask for you to come." Tenhut arrived because his subtle will and his unchanging passion generated an intention so pure that it mathematically bypassed 11 dimensions of perception.
Wow.
He wasn't written into that room. He forced his way in by wanting the truth more than he wanted to exist within the rules of the fiction.
I have to ask about the nature of the Novelist here. Is he a literal god within the context of the story, or is the story itself just becoming self-aware? Because the imagery feels exactly like a video game character, glitching through a digital wall, falling out of the rendered map, and landing on the developer's desk while they're actively coding the game.
That's a great analogy. The Novelist actually pushes back against the traditional concept of being a god. He does tell Tenhut, "You are my creation, I have no rules," establishing his ultimate authority over the document.
Right.
However, he quickly explains that he is actually bound by the emotional resonance of the characters he creates. And this is where the document moves from a fun, metafictional trick into a really deep philosophical confrontation.
Yeah, it gets heavy.
You have Tenhut, this military conqueror who has spent his entire life solving complex problems with violence and cold logic, suddenly demanding answers about his underlying purpose from the entity that literally typed his trauma into existence.
And the Novelist does not hold back. He gives Tenhut a devastating reality check regarding the Egyptian Empire. He tells him that Tenhut and his people are predictable programs.
Predictable program.
Yes, they're entirely ruled by the mind, by rigid logic, and by a collective unspoken fear. That fear is what causes them to constantly seek external domination. They conquer neighboring lands and build massive empires because they're terrified of looking inward at their own consciousness.
And the Novelist is diagnosing the fundamental flaw of their entire society here. He explains this using a specific philosophical framework. The Egyptians rely exclusively on what he calls Titan forces.
Titan forces.
Right. Titan represents structure, form, logic, discipline, and the mind. Now, the Novelist acknowledges that logic is incredibly useful. He describes it beautifully as the bowl that holds the harvest. It gives necessary shape and boundary to creation.
But a bowl is useless if it's empty.
Exactly. When logic and structure become the only tools a society uses, they become the enemies of innovation. Pure logic suppresses the heart, which is the domain of what the Novelist calls omega forces.
Omega being the emotion.
Emotion, feeling, vulnerability, and true creation.
That makes so much sense when you look at Tenhut's physical form. He's a cyborg. He has literally replaced parts of his organic, feeling body with titanium and artificial respiration to become more logical, more structured, more tightened.
He literalized the philosophy.
Yes. But the most shocking part of this conversation is the connection of pain between the creator and the creation. The novelist isn't some detached, cruel puppet master who enjoys watching his characters suffer for entertainment. He actually tells Tenhut, I am feeling your pain.
And this is the crux of the entire narrative. The trauma that the characters experience inside the story acts as a metaphysical barrier for the author.
Wait, how so?
Well, the novelist desperately wants to write a beautiful, transcendent, utopian story for Document 8. But he physically cannot do it. The mechanics of free will in this universe dictate that the characters' unresolved trauma and their stubborn enslavement to cold logic actively prevent the novelist from typing a better future for them.
So, if the characters refuse to heal, the author is just trapped with writer's block.
Exactly that. The text establishes a radical symbiosis. The creator cannot simply force a utopia onto the page. He can't just type, and then the Egyptian empire was happy and peaceful.
Because it wouldn't be authentic.
Right, it wouldn't hold. The characters have to actively choose to heal their own trauma, to clear the quantum pathways, which then allows the novelist to write a better story. The creator needs the creation to evolve just as much as the creation needs the creator to guide them.
So, what does this all mean? Think about the massive irony of Tenhut's journey. He spends his whole life looking for the ultimate source code of magic. He's measuring EPPM, he's climbing through 11 dimensions of reality.
It went through a lot.
He probably assumed the ultimate secret of the universe was going to be a devastating new weapon or, I don't know, a mathematical equation that would allow him to conquer time itself. But the ultimate secret to the universe was letting go of logic. It was embracing emotion and forgiving himself.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the climax of the story isn't a battle. It's a healing session.
Yeah, it really is.
The novelist literally shoots a whirl of vibrant green, purple, orange, and pink energy straight into Tenhut's heart. It's his visceral, metaphysical act of healing. He looks at this terrifying 7-foot-tall warlord and instructs him to breathe, to focus on his heart, and to forgive.
Just breathe and forgive.
He tells him, yesterday's gone, lie in it and you will be consumed. Each moment is a new beginning, a new creation.
And he explains to Tenhut that every single action and thought is a form of art. And because of that, the characters possess the power to change their own personas. They aren't just helpless ink on a page, you know. They are active co-creators of the story alongside the novelist.
It completely reframes how we understand free will. In the context of Document 8, free will isn't just about choosing whether to turn left or right in the physical world. It is the profound realization that you can rewrite your own underlying emotional code. By aligning your internal intention with the omega forces of creation, you collaborate with the universe to change your own narrative.
It is an incredibly dense, fascinating arc for you to think about. We started with a cyborg general searching for the atomic code of magic. We followed him as he navigated a reality-bending darkland where his sheer willpower constructed a physical bridge out of his own universe.
Such a wild ride.
And in the end, he discovers that the secret to reality isn't control or conquest. It's becoming a co-author of his own fiction through the power of an open, forgiving heart.
It manages to take these heavy sci-fi concepts like 11-dimensional space and quantum manipulation and synthesize them perfectly with deep psychological healing and metaphysical philosophy.
And for you listening, it is so easy to relate this back to the mechanics of our own daily reality. We might not be fighting mechanical beasts in the Egyptian empire or climbing through dimensional ventilation shafts in a darkland metropolis.
Probably not today.
Right, but how often do you let your own fears, your own traumas, and pure cold logic trap you in a predictable program? How often do you just run your daily scripts, reacting to the world exactly how you always have, forgetting that you actually hold the pen?
That's a powerful question.
We all have the power to rewrite our own personas. We can change the genre of our own story simply by shifting our intention.
And that is the ultimate takeaway from the novelist's philosophy. The Titan bowl of logic is necessary to hold our lives together. We need structure to function in the world.
Definitely.
But without the omega harvest of emotion, vulnerability, and creation, that bowl is just empty.
I want to leave you with one final, totally mind-bending thought to mull over. Right at the end of their conversation, as Tenhut is processing everything he's learned, he asks the novelist if he is the ultimate creator of everything.
Oh, this part is brilliant.
He wants to know if this guy at the desk is the absolute top of the cosmic chain. And the novelist replies with a line that completely shatters the ceiling of the narrative. He says, "Through you speaking to me, I, too, am speaking to my higher light."
That single sentence it recontextualizes the entire document.
It changes everything, because if the characters in Document 8 are just a story written by the novelist to process his own feelings, whose story is the novelist living in?
It circles all the way down, or up.
Right. Is he just a character in someone else's document, sitting at a desk, being typed into existence by an even higher author who is also trying to heal their own trauma? Is it just stories all the way up? It really makes you wonder how many layers of authors might exist right above our own reality, waiting for us to generate enough pure intention to glitch through the wall and finally say hello.